Time for Mac Break Weekly. Rene, Ritchie's here. Andy Ihnatko's here. Doc Rock's here filling in for Alex Lindsay. Rene's got the new iMac. He's got the purple one. His review coming up. Then we'll talk about Apple. Their new lossless music is not compatible with their wireless headphones. What's that all about? Apple in China, New York Times with a scathing report. All that coming up and a lot more next with Mac Break Weekly.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Mac Break Weekly, episode 766, recorded Tuesday, May 18th, 2021. Andy was right. Mac Break Weekly is brought to you by Udacity. Gain in-demand tech skills in as little as 3 months with Udacity's part-time online tech courses. Visit udacity.com/twit and get 75% off any program with the code TWIT75. Offer ends June 30th, 2021. And by Headspace. Devoting just a few minutes per day to focus on your thoughts can change your life. Headspace is the easy-to-use app that can help you sleep, focus, act, and just be better. Go to headspace.com/MacBreak for a free 1-month trial. It's time for Mac Break Weekly, the show we cover the latest news from Apple. And there is news this week. Rene Ritchie is here briefly. He's going to give us a quick review of the new iMacs and then head off for meetings. Hello, Rene. YouTube.com/Rene
Hello, Leo.
Ritchie.
I'm coming to you lossless, but because it's over the internet, you're only getting a lossy signal anyway.
I'm losing it. And what is that behind you over your left shoulder there? That looks right shoulder. That looks no, your left shoulder. Your left shoulder.
One of my shoulders. Yeah,
one of them shoulders.
Army left, right shoulder. It's a Joker Hulk pant purple iMac, which I am delighted with.
Okay, go fetch it because Doc Rock's going to want to see it all. Doc Rock is also with us.
On it.
He says he's coming over to get it all the way from Hawaii to Montreal. Doc Rock, youtube.com/Doc Rock, filling in this week for Alex Lindsay. Hello, Doc.
How you doing? I would do my best to be Alex and pick something really expensive.
Good. He's the. I didn't realize you were so purple, but then as I think about it, everything about you is purple.
Yes, purple is my thing. I got into the purple thing, Leo, because I strongly support the Alzheimer's organization because I have parents, that are in that position. So I switched from my standard color to purple like 2 years ago, and now I just live there.
It's the traditional color of the Alzheimer's Foundation, and we participated in the walkathon for several years, and we always have that purple flower on our porch. So now, and it's Mac Break's color. So we're all purple here. Yeah. Also with us, Mr. Andy Ihnatko from WGBH Boston and Points
Hello.
East. Good to see you.
You always got it. You always know the difference between a reviewer who got a loaner and a reviewer who just bought it with their own money for whatever reason, because he's got that right on the corner of that armoire. With just like if that base had feet, it'd be like 3 toes on top of the desk, 2 of them up there. That's that's the sort of stuff I would do. Do a drop test. As soon as you're done with all the real tests need to do, the day before you got to send it back, you got to do a drop test.
If I just let it fall. Actually,
exactly.
I think iJustine topped all the reviewers. Somehow she got Apple to give her all 7 colors of the new iMac 24 and made a video unboxing. Look at those colors. Now when you're looking at it, which color? Now, what's funny is the backs are more saturated than the fronts. So,
no, that's
you know what I'm sad about?
That's really good by design. That's because you don't want to have like your face filled with like this shockingly red screen.
Oh, that's a good point.
Or having that stuff reflecting off your glasses when you're doing chat.
No, that's a good point. Yeah.
Really cool stuff.
So you want it more subtle in the front.
It's fun in the back. It's a party in the back and business up front.
It's the mullet Mac. Yes, Doc
I just
Rock?
wish she had to set them up red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. She just did take that opportunity to Roy G. Bivet and then throw the silver one in the corner.
You wanted her to do it by hue, not luminance. Oh.
Yes.
Looks like she's instead done it from light to dark.
But she's the joy goddess of tech. She gets to do what she wants.
It's pretty.
True story.
She's done it by wavelength, says John. Jock wants it by wavelength. Roy G. Biv wavelength, and she's
6,000 angstroms, right dead center.
Right in the middle.
Something.
Yeah, it's kind of your middle C of colors.
That's the deep red. Yeah.
440 hertz. Pretty impressive. I like
maybe that's just how fast they are. We're seeing the Doppler shift of like these things doing their benchmarks.
It's all the same. It's all the same iMac. It's just traveling really fast.
Run, Barry, run.
So I think because Renee's going to have to run, we should get right to your.
He has a unique
thoughts.
point of view. Yes.
Yes. What do you think? I guess the first question is it? So this is the low end iMac. In fact, we're going to talk later about rumors that there is another iMac more powerful coming. But how low end could it be with an M1 in it? Does it feel pretty snappy?
Yeah, so I mean, the M1 is so interesting to me because I'm used to Apple. Apple did this whole silicon architecture thing. They didn't want to become their own silicon vendor with like every single device as a separate customer because that would lose every advantage of making their own silicon. So they created this scalable architecture, and now they have the M1 in the iPad Pro going all the way up to the iMac, and it performs the same in all of them, but they use it for different things. Like they were very savvy in figuring out that efficiency leads to performance. So they can use M1 to have world-class performance but huge battery life in the MacBook Air or the iPad, and they can use M1 to let them whittle down the chassis on an iMac to almost nothing and give you like a modern version of that translucent iMac take, not because the plastic is see-through, but because the thing is almost two-dimensional. So it's and it doesn't miss a step. Like it is every bit as powerful as any of the other M1 Macs. It's a really interesting, really smart product decision, I think.
Yeah, I mean, everybody focuses, as we just did, on the color. The design, is a refreshed design, but it is kind of feels like as thin as it is, it's like a giant iPad on a stand. But
it's like the MacBook Air of iMacs for the first time.
And it is
like
a small screen. I mean,
iMac.
It's bigger than the 21-inch, but it is not as big as a full-size iMac or an iMac Pro. And I think the rumor is that the next Pro iMacs will be even larger, like 32 inches. Does the screen feel constrained to you? 24 is not bad.
No, it's and because it's so thin, like the interesting thing about this is that you can fit it into almost any nook and any cranny, and because it's not a giant silver bubble-butted backed wedge, it's not as obtrusive as the old iMac. I put my 27-inch side by side with it, and it kind of melts away in an interesting way. And I heard a bunch of other people talking about them, like, yeah, my family would never let me put an old iMac there, but they have no problem with an orange one or a green one right in the kitchen, right in the It's all psychological, but it holds together really well.
So is that a market, guys? I mean, the market of the people who want a computer but don't want anybody to know they have a computer? I guess it is. The hidden computer. Yeah. I want people to know I have a computer.
Yeah, me too. But and to Renee's point, like, for instance, like in our house, when you first walk in, we do have a little like nook that we cut into the wall purposely to be like the communication stand, right? That's where you get the mail. Grab your phone off the chargers if you're a do not disturber. I tend to have my phone next to me. Pull up the watch off the charger. Everything is in this one little place. It's the perfect place to put a smaller iMac. Doesn't have to be super powerful. It's close enough to the kitchen. I could pull up a recipe or something real quick. But it's a good, nice little place to have a small hub. And I know a lot of people have similar cadenzas and things like that, or a community computer. Say someone comes over, I can't, for work reasons, I can't let them use my laptop, but someone might need to use a computer. Now, I'm not suggesting you go out all ballerific and go buy a really high-end one, but it's a good thing for a lower-end computer. So I think the fact that it has a little bit of that beauty utility to it as well lets it lend in for a good design as a home computer.
That's really interesting. So now you're saying it's good for a second computer or a third or fourth.
Absolutely.
It's the extra computer, the one that you use for, just checking things in the kitchen.
The hub, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Remember that old school device? Sorry, Andy. Remember that old school device? I forgot what it was. It was made by 3M. It was white. It was super kind of ugly at the time, but it was for Aubrey. That's what it was.
Aubrey. It was a kitchen computer. They even built it that way.
Yes. It didn't fly, but nowadays we're getting to the point where something like this could happen. So, yes.
Andy, what did you want to say?
All I was going to say is that it's interesting that Apple is even continuing the iMac line, because all-in-ones, like on the PC side of life, they aren't really a big factor. I think Apple themselves has said that iMacs are not the general people who walk into an Apple store to buy a Mac don't come in intending to buy an iMac. They're for special users and special situations, as opposed to like a Mac Mini or a MacBook that are more general purpose computers for people. Again, this is the sort of things that people are coming in to buy. For someone who wants an all-in-one, they have to have a reason for doing it, and one of them would be, I have a household. I'm not going to buy my kids each of them a $1,000 laptop or $1,200 laptop. I'm going to buy one nice all-in-one that doesn't take up the entire living room, doesn't take the entire kitchen or whatever, and that's going to be the family computer where we have basically all of our accounts on. Yeah, so it's an interesting thing. Whereas the iMac used to be the Mac, just like the original Mac Plus, Mac 128, Mac 512, Mac SE was, here is the box that you have. That here's the box that you come in to buy, the iMac that you come in to buy as a Mac. This is now it's nice. It's the utility outfielder, gets the job done, fills out the roster, but it's certainly not the sort of stuff that's going to get most of the press at the end of the day.
It has a MagSafe connector on the back, which I thought was interesting. How does that work? Does it fall out easily, Rene, or is it pretty secure in there?
No, not at all. It fits in really, really well. It's got like here, I'll see if I can hold it out. It's probably too far away, but it's got sort of a ring on the outside and then a little nubbin in the middle, and the whole thing goes in and sticks in magnetically.
Does it snap in? It's got a nice satisfying snap. Yeah.
Well, a magnetic sort of a thunk. You know, like when we're all addicted to the AirPods case, snapping it open and close. It's like thunk. It's really
$1,500. It's trying to say my name with a lisp.
Talk rock.
But the interesting,
it's my cousin.
The interesting thing is they're transiting Ethernet over this cable as well. If you get the higher end,
did you get that
MagSafe adapter? Yeah, and you can plug it in. And I'm guessing because the Thunderbolt, the on-package Thunderbolt ports are being taken up, that it's using USB. And I would kind of like add more USB ports on the power adapter, because why not? It's off your desk. You already plugged
it a hub
into it. Let me plug like a printer.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know how well that would work with hard drives.
Idea of inside the brick.
Inside the brick. I like it.
Yeah.
Go ahead and go get it. Come on, Rene. We want to see it. Get it. Go bring it to us.
Can we go get it?
Yeah. He's going to run and get it.
Now we can talk about how jealous we are and how much we hate him that he got a pre-release iMac and we got bupkis.
Look at the front. Oh, Doc Rock. Is it beautiful? Do you love it?
I'm in love.
Now, of course, the only complaint I've heard about this at all is the white bezels. And you can see them there. I think you're right, Doc Rock. This is not the computer you put at your workstation for editing photos. This is more really a family computer kind of thing, right? So the white bezels wouldn't be.
Yeah. See, you know the sad part about M1? I shouldn't say the sad part, but the part about M1 that's going to be impressive people is it is so powerful that you are going to want to do those things. But when they put it out there, they weren't thinking, hey, we want to put out this workstation that comes in Fruit Loop colors, right? It was intended to be a fun, Apple, they love to add fun and excitement and things into the product. That's part of their character identity. And as Rene said, they have been recently following this design language that is very on point. Like they have been very, very specific with their design language. So I think for me personally, it's a dope computer. And although you can edit your photos and things on it, because people are going to be coming from a higher end iPhone, higher end iPads, and that I'm not going to replace my studio computer with it. But it is a fantastic get some work done when I'm at the house, let my niece use it when she comes over. Don't have to worry about her harming anything. So yeah.
I don't know if this is related to pandemic or if it's, design goes through cycles. Apple, clearly color is in. Google today at its Google I.O. announced their new design language for Android 12, Material U, and it's all about color, customizable colors, picking up the color of your wallpaper.
Can I tell you why I hate this though?
Why?
Leo?
Why?
So I like it in general, and I like the white bezel. I thought I would hate them because I'm all in on the black bezels, but in a room, like when you put it in a house, they fade away. Like most people have lighter colored walls or colors in black. It just it sticks out so much against this.
Only Alex Lindsay
really
has 30% gray walls.
Translucent.
Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense. Did it feel stable? Is the stand very stable?
Done mock-ups. Yeah, no, it's totally stable. But I mean, like on the subject of the nostalgia marketing, like to me, I always think of The Watchmen, not the movie, but the original comic book where Adrian Veidt was having like this futuristic millennium marketing. And then the minute the doomsday clock started counting down, he switched to nostalgia and explained that whenever people are stressed or anxious, whenever they're worried about the future, you remind them of their past because that's comforting and warm and nurturing to them. It gives them those feelings of better days and better times, but it's in the past. It becomes hard to move forward. So like, I really want to push back against like nostalgia marketing because I think that's really cynical, and hope that they're to the like a next step forward. Reintegrate the good things about them, but don't try to make us feel like, don't pander to our anxiety. Make us hopeful for the future again.
Yeah. I also note, related or not, that Apple is confirming that they are discontinuing the space gray Magic keyboards, trackpads, and mice, the keyboards that came with the space gray iMac Pro. I'm going to keep mine. They're going to be a collector's item. Machine. Yeah. Color is in this year. It's back. I mean, it's totally cyclic. I mean, it happens in fashion every decade or so.
It is more human. Like colors are so human.
I like colors. Yeah. Sometimes we want to be more sedate, and then sometimes not, I guess.
The brave segment.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
Doc Rock.
Man, Andy and I are having fun today dancing. I was going to say the brave segment of this is when we had it back in the past, one of the things that was always weird was you'd go into the stockroom. At that time, I was at CompUSA, and there'd be all of one particular color left or all of another particular color left. Everything else is sold out. But I think now, like the planning of, making sure you have the right amount of colors in the right space, it's very hard to do. So I wonder, like, what type of thought they put into, like, we know for a fact red, blue, automatically gone no matter
SKU
what.
management.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how you manage that. That part to me is brave, very brave right now for something this price range.
Famously, it's the thing Steve Jobs did when he came back to Apple, is he cut the SKUs because you can't do that many different.
But he introduced the colors. Like he gave us years of the
Bondi
Fruit
Blue,
Loops,
baby.
iMacs, and the iBooks, and then he canceled all of it and gave us a decade of bead blasted aluminum.
I really honestly think you have to keep your ear to the rail on fashion, and it changes. I've been watching, Netflix has a great series with Ewan McGregor on Halston, the designer, who brought color to women's fashions in the 70s. And it's very much that same thing. It's like, it's been, black and white Chanel suits, and all of a sudden there's color and there's form, and that's just what happens in design, and it's all cyclical. At the Google I/O, the Google I/O designer came on. What was his? Matthias came on to talk about it. Matthias Duarte. He's the guy who does material design, and he's doing the new Material U. And let me see if I can find his quote. Emotion is essential, and beauty is everything. And that's how he announced the new color palettes for the material design. So
I will forever love him from WebOS. He can do no wrong in my eyes because he made WebOS.
He's a good designer. And he comes on, he wears floral print shirts and stuff. He's famous for that. And yeah. So good. I'm glad color is back. Anything else to say before we let you go about the new iMac? Any other thoughts?
The camera is actually good. I mean,
oh my God.
The 720p is in potato cameras on the MacBooks for a while. The 1080p cameras on the iMacs were good, but they had the T2 image signal processor, which is an A10, repurposed A10 chip. And this has basically the A14. The M1 is analogous to the A14 in terms of silicon IP. So it's got the same image signal processor as an iPhone. And if you had a YouTube drama or like T channel or like a reaction channel, you could totally film it with this camera and these microphones.
Wow.
And the speakers are ridiculous. Like, I know there was a whole bunch of kvetching. I'm sure you guys will talk about it later. There was a whole bunch of kvetching about Apple not putting lossless audio into a lot of their Bluetooth devices. But they spent so much of the last 3 years audio building it into the spatial audio thing. They're doing it from everything now. And like they've got speakers in this iMac that have no right to sound anywhere nearly as good as they do, because this thing is like a stretched out, I don't know, it's like a griddle or something. It is so thin, and it's got the same sort of the force canceling technology that the MacBook Pro has. So it's got really good bass without it shaking your table. The whole thing is really well done.
So you're making me want one, even though I know I shouldn't buy one.
Wait for the big one.
Who should not buy this? Besides
anybody
me.
like, well, if you want to be able to throw something in your bag, you're going to want an iPad or a MacBook. You know, it's just like if you need your computer.
Yeah, clearly, you don't throw an iMac in your bag.
Around.
Yeah, but yeah.
Well, I mean, Marquez takes it, so I'm not gonna be judgy about it.
Right.
Like if you want to take it to the coffee shop as the ultimate after lockdown flex, like you can. It's 10 pounds. But like for just moving around your house, it's fine. But I think it's really, or for people who really want to do like workstation level work, there's going to be an M series iMac Pro, within the next year that will give you way more cores and way more ports and just way more of everything, things that are really appealing to pro users. But I think if you're looking for a computer for your home, it's really hard to get good displays these days. People discount the value of a good display, and Apple has one of the best display teams in the world. Like, it's hard to get a display this good that costs as much as the iMac, and you get a free Mac thrown in with this.
Right.
So if that appeals to you and you want to be able to put it anywhere in your house and have it like look like a piece of decor and not a piece of technology, like you want it for the kids, you want it just as like a home computer, you want it in your spa and like front of house at a gym, places like that, places that I think want to have a real humanistic feel and a really big high quality display. I think that's the sweet spot for this.
Price as configured, that particular one you have.
This is the I believe it's 69. It's the gigabyte, 1 terabyte. It's not 2 terabytes.
Say it again. You broke up. Say the whole thing again because you broke up.
Oh, sorry. It's 2 terabyte. Sorry, it's 1 terabyte, 16 gigabytes. There's not a lot of options anymore with the M series processors. You don't get to configure like the number of cores or frequencies.
Right. 2 ports in the back, right? Thunderbolt ports.
2 Thunderbolt plus 2 USB.
And 2
3.
USB. Okay.
Yeah,
So
they all look the same, so they have a little Thunderbolt icon on it, so you can tell the difference.
It's tempting. And what did you say the price was for that model? Do you know?
I believe this one is $16.99.
Okay. So it's not. I mean, nothing Apple does is cheap. It's still expensive in that, compared to other people's computers. They start at $12.99, but as configured, that's about $16.99. But still tempting, if you needed one for the, where you put this on the phone desk.
Yes.
So nobody has a phone desk anymore. But if you had a phone desk, that's where you would put this.
So that's what I meant by my communication stand.
Yeah.
My communication stand is a fallback to the old phone desk because I grew up with that and I liked having it. We all dropped our keys there. That's when you came home. That's when you checked for mail if you had any packages underneath. And in Hawaii, everyone takes their shoes off. And so ours has the place to put your shoes in. Like, you don't wear shoes in the house here because of red dirt clay. Your house would be atrocious. So you just, it's like the perfect spot for that. So some people still do. We just don't have a phone line.
Right. It's funny because people know what I say when you say the phone desk, even though nobody has them anymore. Grandma had a phone desk. Rene, we're going to let you go. I know you have another meeting to get to. I'm so glad we could get you on, though, with your review of
Can I add one last thing, Leo?
Yes.
Yeah, the other thing that I thought was really clever is the Touch ID implementation because they have a secure block. Yeah, they have a secure block. It's not even they started with a system in package with the T1. They went to a T2 chip, which was essentially the A10. Now they have the M1, so they don't need anything. The secure element is built in to the iMac still, but you need something to securely authenticate on the keyboard because you don't want to just ship unauthenticate. So they have a secure block in the keyboard that does the authentication for you and then beams the secure token to the Mac. And I think this is just a really clever combination of technologies.
Good. Yeah, it sounds like, I hate to say it, I was kind of poo-pooing it as, it's too low end, but this sounds like actually exactly where the iMac should be. If you want a pro device, I bought the iMac Pro. It was very, very expensive. And honestly, if you want a pro device, you probably want a Mac Mini high-end or a Mac Pro high-end, not an iMac. You want something to give you more monitors, more capability, and a certainly larger monitor. So this is the home computer as it should be. And if there is a market for home computers, this is the perfect one for it.
And it's a consumer-friendly version again. It's not just a smaller version of the same old iMac. It feels like the iPhone XR, 11, 12, the iPad Air, like the more consumer version of the product, specifically designed for consumers, not just pared down for consumers. And I love that.
Yeah. Rene, I'm so glad we could get you on and get your review. I wish I could get a purple one.
next
That's
week.
beautiful. That's really, really
They're all beautiful. It's so hard to
pretty.
decide.
They really are. They really are. Thank you, Renee.
Thank you so
Aloha,
much.
Rene.
We're going to let
you next
Aloha. We're going to let Renee go. Doc Rock and Andy Ihnatko, don't you go anywhere. We've got lots more to talk about as Mac Break Weekly continues in just a little bit. But first of all, a little break so we can reset our monitors and that kind of thing. Our show today brought to you by Udacity. Udacity was started by a Googler named Sebastian Thrun about 10 years ago. I know I joined in 2012. And what Sebastian realized is that big companies like Google and Microsoft and Apple are looking for engineering skills that just don't exist in the regular world. That people who are, even though they're getting computer science degrees or going to technical schools, they're not getting the skills that these big companies really need and expect. He founded Udacity so that people didn't have to go to an expensive school. They could actually do this stuff online, get the skills they need, and get the jobs they really want. In fact, it didn't take very long before Google paired up with Udacity to create the Nano Degree program. Now there are big companies like Microsoft, Google, IBM, Amazon, all with Nano Degree programs. The world's fastest, most efficient way to master the skills these big companies are looking for. Udacity offers a unique part-time online education program designed to bridge that gap between the things you learned in school and your career goals. And you can put in as little as 5 to 10 hours a week for only about 3 months and learn a suite of employable skills that will get you a job, the job you want, in-demand skills that are really needed in today's tough job market. Here's how it works. Once you enroll, you pick your course, and there are courses in every possible area. I'll talk about that in a second. The courses, of course, are online. You can view them any time of the day or night, after work, whatever is convenient for you. But I like it because Udacity doesn't stop with the videos. You also do projects, and that hands-on stuff is, I think, really important. You're not doing it alone. You'll have a lot of help. All the projects are reviewed by real professionals working in the field. You also get human help, personalized code reviews. They even have a fantastic mentoring system, so you can get mentorship 24/7. So you're never just, I don't know how to do this. You're going to learn how to do it. You're going to get the information you need, and then you're going to get the help you need to complete this series of projects. And once you've done that, you really demonstrably have the skills you need. Udacity also has some great side courses on job-relevant skills, things like building a portfolio on LinkedIn, something you can show prospective employers. Believe me, they're going to look whether you show them or not. Lots of free courses at Udacity. But they have these nano degrees are incredible, whether it's for consumers or businesses with teams. Subjects include things like data engineering, data analyst. These are among the most popular. Product manager, C++, that's the language everybody needs. I took Python there. They've got great Python courses. Not just regular basic Python. You take that first, but you also have Python for data science and things like that. Digital marketing, yes, some soft skills too. These are industry-leading programs designed and recognized by the best companies in the world. 14 million people have used Udacity in over 240 countries, studying everything from AI to cloud computing to data science, autonomous systems. Yeah, you want to get in the self-driving vehicles? That's the way to get those skills. Programming, of course. Flexible payment options. Learn on your own schedule at your own pace. Look at some of these testimonials. Tilak, who's Ford, Udacity helped me achieve my dreams. The resume, LinkedIn, and GitHub reviews helped me polish my profile. I successfully made a career change. Now I'm a data scientist at Ford. At Ford, says Tilak, because of the skills I acquired through my nano degree program. Alexandra got a job at Zillow Group. He said, do everything Udacity tells you to do, especially on your resume, cover letter, LinkedIn, and GitHub. Udacity's advice will make you hireable. It's a really great place to go to get the skills. Technology is changing our world. You know that. And it's disrupting every business in the world. If your business needs to upskill your employees, check out Udacity for Enterprise. It's a great way to get get the skills. It's a great benefit, frankly, for your employees. Check out the website today. Get the in-demand skills you need to advance your career, or your employees need to be better employees. Visit udacity.com/twit. Right now, boy, they just announced this. This is great. I'm really pleased to mention this. It's limited time, though. You got to do this by the end of June. 75% off any program. That's pretty darn good. If you've been kind of on the fence, maybe you better jump. The offer code is TWIT75. TWIT75. Do that at checkout. Boom. You'll love the price drop. 75% off. Now, this offer ends June 30th, 2021. So I would, if I were you, you know you want a better job. You know you want those skills. It's fun to learn. It's real. I do it for fun. It's fun. They're great teachers. Udacity.com/twit. 75% off. But you got to use the offer code TWIT75 so they know you saw it here. TWIT75. Thank you, Udacity. I appreciate it for your support. All right, we've repositioned. We've moved Andy Ihnatko into the Rene Ritchie slot. We've moved Doc Rock into the Andy Ihnatko slot. We've taken the Rene Ritchie monitor and thrown it away. It's just the three of us now.
Well, we'll forgive him. Of course, we'll forgive him for getting pre-release hardware until tomorrow, when I'm sure that his iPad Pro review video will drop.
Yeah, it all came out at the same time, right? So yeah, you can go to the stores, I think Friday, and get all this stuff. I ordered the iPad Pro. I should check.
Or can you?
Well, that's part of the problem. In fact, we're seeing reports now from Digitimes in the supply chain that these mini LED screens that they're putting in the iPad Pro are very hard to make. We knew this, that the yields are bad.
Yeah.
And they may not show up on new Macs, like MacBook Pros, until next year. I don't think they ever were proposed for the desktops, but for the laptops, that's kind of a disappointment. So I hope you got in on the iPad Pro. You ordered one, right, Andy?
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, that was one of the reasons why I decided to order one early, because I had a feeling that between one thing or another, if I didn't like it, I could always take it back within 2 weeks, and if I liked it, I didn't get it as part of the very, very first 10 minutes of orders, I might have to wait for months. I ordered. I think the July, I think, is the ship date now. For most people. Yeah, for most people. I got up 5 a.m. Pacific time to order. You got to get up at 8 a.m. I'm jealous, but I got up at 5 a.m., ordered it, but I ordered the top of the line, like everything, right, maxed out, and I'm still processing. It says arrives June 2nd through June 9th. So you're with me. Yeah. Some people I know are getting it now. We've already seen the first people who ordered get their there was a review on Reddit that got republished in most of the Apple blogs. So what was so messed up about that night, Leo, is I'm like, okay, I got to get up. For you, early, it was like 2 a.m., right? Yeah, got to get up at 2 a.m. So remember to set the alarm. Remember to, okay, this show is really good, but remember this. When I woke up, I was like, holy crap. So I was running around the house trying to find something to order with. I finally ordered it with my phone, and it was like, oh, you can get this in July. And I was like, oh. So what I did was I did what you did. I said, let me max it out, because then it should be okay. So maxing it out. Nobody's going to do that. I ended up the same date as you. Yeah. But I heard through the grapevine, so you might want to show up to your store early, because if you were intending to get a 1 or 2 terabyte, just with Wi-Fi, it might be in the store. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm sure that they got some in the stores anyway. So yeah, if you do want to show up on Friday, that's probably your best chance of getting one before July. Yeah. And as always, even when supplies are really, really constrained, Apple has some in the warehouse. They know that they're going to make sure that there's no store that never has them week after week after week, and it just pays, if you really, really want one, to just keep calling around, or just keep making a habit of dropping in and ask, hey, do you have them in stock? That's how I got my first AirPods when they were like out of stock everywhere. Just by every time I was passing by an Apple store, I just said, hey, you got any AirPods? Oh yeah, we got one this morning. Great. Yeah. Here's an incredibly silly amount of money. So it's probably, is it foolish, you think, to pre-order as Doc Rock and I did? It should. At least for me, and I think for you too, Doc Rock, we're reviewing them. And so we we want them as we're not in the position of iJustine and Marquez Brownlee and Rene Ritchie. They ain't going to send us one. We gotta spend our hard-earned money for them, and so that means we got to get them as quickly as we possibly can.
Correct. And so that's why I went ahead and ordered it, knowing that I would probably be at the mall on Friday at like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Starting to match the beard, walking around with my Velcro,
if you
diabetes shoes.
If you show them, where do I get Velcro diabetes shoes? Those sound good.
The old Balance instead of New Balance.
Oh, the old
Balance. Yeah.
Do you have one of those
Rock
walkers with
boys.
4 feet on it? The little.
I'm gonna put tennis balls, everything. It's gonna be a lot of standing up, bro.
But you couldn't show them your order on your iPhone and say, "See, I ordered this. Would you give it to me now?" Can you do that?
Oh, because what I'll do is I purposely make sure I have enough space on the Apple Card. Is I'll go ahead and walk in and buy one, and then cancel the other order.
There's plenty of time to cancel it. I'm just looking at mine, and you know how it has that little bar that moves from preparing to ship to shipping and all of that. My little bar is like, well, we got your order.
Yeah.
My order keeps
processing. It's been processing for a long time so far. Not preparing to ship, not shipped, not delivered, none of that.
Yeah.
Now I even got the cellular, which is probably nuts. But I just thought, well, I have to test it all, right?
Yeah.
Well, I got the cellular so that we can get it faster.
Well, I went through the same thing because the store had a little bit of a meltdown, like for the first 5 or 10 minutes, where I would put things in the basket and then say, "Great, check out." Said, "Oh, well, there's nothing in your basket." Well, I thought I just did. Okay, fine. There it is. Put it in the basket, and I'll go to check out. Oh, I'm sorry, there's nothing in your basket, Andy. You're nuts. And I got so angry that like, well, what if I did the same thing that you guys did? It was like, well, what if I put a 1 terabyte? What if I get the machine that nobody really is buying? I'll get that went in, and so that's the reason why I'm getting a 512 gigabyte, which I wanted, 12.9 inch, which I wanted, but in silver instead of space gray, because all I knew was that one was the one I had budgeted for. It's not the color I wanted, but that was actually landing in the basket, and I just wanted to slam that puppy home while I still had a chance of getting it sometime before Labor Day, and mine has shipped and it's arriving on Friday.
Oh, I'm so jealous. So
what's so funny is I wanted so bad to not have to order a silver one. And I was fighting the store, having the same problems as Andy because it kept taking things out of my basket. And I'm like, it's going to be in this case, bro. I don't really care what color it is.
But if it were orange or purple, I would live with that the case. Yeah.
Well, I bought that's part of the stuff that I bought like at the Apple store over the weekend. I had to get the new pencil because the old one doesn't work. Got a new folio case for it, and I realized that if I get the orange one, it kind of almost looks like getting the lighter colored one was an intentional choice instead of me being a fool for being impatient.
Which keyboard are you guys? Are you going to buy Apple's $350 Magic keyboard? Did you get it for?
I just did it.
You did it.
It's funny. I hemmed and hawed about it the whole way through. From when it first came out, I was like, dumb, I'm not doing it, right? The folio is perfectly fine, whatever. Now that I've had this for like a week,
it's a pretty good keyboard.
Mad at myself. I didn't get it back then.
Yeah.
Because I definitely would have out-earned what I paid for it because productivity is so much better with this floaty thing.
We also
it's
mentioned...
weird because I can't go flat, but I don't care anymore.
We mentioned last week that even though Apple says technically the old Magic Keyboard does not fit the 5th generation 12.9, it fits well enough that you can use it. But so I have it, and actually I thought, I haven't tried the Logitech Combo Touch. It is now available for 12.9. So I'll probably get it before I get my iPad Pro, but I thought I'd give that a try. So good, we can compare notes because I have the Magic Keyboard for the old iPad.
Supposedly, though, Apple has some sort of secret sauce for the trackpad that they as yet aren't sharing with outside hardware. So the trackpad experience on the Magic Keyboard is markedly better than what you get in any third-party product.
Well, I'll report back. I'll let you know.
As it was, like I could feel like the ghost of my father just glaring at me, saying, "You spent how much on a computer without a keyboard when you already bought a brand new?" And I have to let my bank account recover from that before I even consider a $350
outrageous
trackpad.
And the Logitech is about $100 less, so there's another reason to do it. I will let you know. I'll tell. I mean, this is good. That's good. Let's see if the trackpad is any good. I have to say, with the iPad, the trackpad is almost redundant because you also can reach out and touch.
It is almost, but not. And see, I said all of these things, Leo. It's so funny. I said all these things. What is this thing, this folio thing, but not folio, but this floaty dude? This has been out for like a year and a half, and I poo-pooed it the whole way.
No,
I
I love
that
it.
one is
I
just
agree with you.
Silly. Not going to happen.
Yeah.
Once I did it, I was like, oh, this is dirty. Two things I love about it that maybe a lot of people talk about, but I was ignoring them because I didn't want to like it. Let's tell the truth. The fact that I can charge from the right side and leave the left side port open so that I can connect my HyperJuice Thunderbolt hub, right?
I love that. I love
right?
that.
Thank you.
Yes.
That alone is almost worth the money, but there's
it
more.
gives you a second port. It gives you a charging port.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A whole charging port. So now when I take my Western Digital Black, or my Sabrent, like really fast drive and plug to that sucker, open up LumaFusion and do my, basic edits off of here, it's fantabulous. Because it's floaty, you can take this when you have it connected
and run the wire
just tuck
under it. Yeah.
Tuck it under the space.
Oh, you just
so
put it
it's
underneath.
not dangling off your lap.
Smart.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's chilling right there. It's plugged in. I'm editing. Having the trackpad makes editing so much faster. And then when I'm done, I can say send the XML to the desktop. I come in, slap titles on in Final Cut, and then it's off to the races. So it's crazy because I can type better. I feel I can't type. Let's tell the truth. But yeah, it's worth the money, and it is kicky, screamy, and it hurt, but I just told myself I'll earn this sucker back at no more than a month after I bought it. So just do it. And I swear to you, it's worth it.
I will, in effect, have the choice because Apple and Scooter X has posted this in the IRC. Apple says the first generation of the Magic Keyboard is functionally compatible with the new iPad Pro 12.9. Due to the slightly thicker dimensions of the new iPad Pro, it's possible the Magic Keyboard may not precisely fit when closed, especially if screen protectors are applied. Well, I don't plan to close it, so okay, it'd probably be fine.
It's that SOB's got to start earning from the day you peel the thing off the screen.
Hell yeah!
Damn it!
Hell yeah!
You're not going to sleep mode. Oh no, you're not going. You're
now we're only really just 3 weeks and actually I guess exactly 3 weeks away from Apple's WWDC keynote. So 3 weeks from now. Yeah. I may regret any purchases I've made. According to Mark Gurman, Apple is readying a new MacBook Pro and a new MacBook Air and even new Mac Pros, iMacs, and Pro Mac Minis. Now, we don't know when we're going to ship. It's, because of various rumors, but even the leak from Quanta, it looks like there'll be a 14-inch and a 16-inch MacBook Pro on the 7th. I'm going to guess, right? Redesigned chassis, MagSafe charger, more ports, including HDMI and SD cards. What?
Yeah. This is I when this rumor started up about 2 months ago, I thought to myself, I'm going to have to make up stickers. I'm going to sell them for $2 each, and they just say Andy was right, because every single thing I've hated about MacBooks for the past 3 or 4 years is this is the Andy is right,
including the butterfly
MacBook.
Keyboard, right, Andy?
They got rid of the keyboard, got rid of the touch bar, gave me more ports, bring back the SD card slot. Andy was right, not always, but in this case, yes.
Also, Gurman says, and again, Gurman, this is a rumor, but I can't think of a time Gurman's been wrong. He's very well connected. He says for the new MacBook Pros, again, this I'm going to say is 3 weeks off, at least the announcement, whether you'll be able to order and get right away. It might be another month or two. Apple's planning 2 different chips, not M1s, codenamed Jade C-Chop and Jade C-Die, letter C. Both include 8 high-performance cores, 2 energy-efficient cores. So it's a 10-core. Instead of 4 plus 4, it's 8 plus 2, which is interesting. And will be offered in either 16 or 32 graphics core variations. So these are going to be, it sounds like, significantly more performance. Now, he didn't say anything about clock speed, so maybe it'd probably be the same. I don't know. It'd be the same clock speed. I don't know.
Well, it seems as though with the release of the iMac, they've already covered the entire spectrum of the existing Mac line by upgrading them to M1. They are the exact same M1 chip, so this is why a lot of the
including
reviews
in the
this morning,
iPad Pro.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is why a lot of the reviews of the new iMac this morning were kind of anticlimactic, because they're like, okay, well, technically we did a benchmark, but they benchmarked the exact same way.
We
as
knew how
everything
they
else.
perform. Yeah.
So I would be shocked if we saw any more new Macs that didn't have a next generation chip with it, and I'd be I don't think did Gurman provide a timetable that said that it's not going to be until later in this year, or not going to be until 2022 for some of this stuff?
Not really. I'm making up June 7th. Oh, I feel fairly confident about that.
June 7th is a guarantee.
Yeah,
it just has to be because of development cycles and getting things ready.
But you don't. There's no pressure to revamp the MacBook Air. So here's what he says: redesigned MacBook Pros are expected to debut as soon as early this summer, said the people. He always refers to the people who know, who requested anonymity to discuss an internal matter, followed by a revamped MacBook Air, a new low-end MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
So redesign on the low end, the 13-inch maybe, and an all-new Mac Pro workstation. Followed by doesn't mean like in a month. It could be September or later, probably October, I would guess, or November. The company's also working on, and this is good news. It's the first we've heard of this. I suspected and hoped a higher-end Mac Mini.
For sure.
And what's funny is when you look at the 24-inch iMacs they're shipping this Friday, it immediately tells you, well, they've got to be doing a 32-inch or something, a higher-end iMac, right? That's at the very end, and larger iMac is at like the tail end of his
24 to 27 isn't a big enough swatch to me, so they gotta go 32. Maybe because I'm just starting to not be able to see. I want the 32.
Well, you could do it by taking off bezels, right?
Yeah. In theory, yes. And Andy, I just want to remind you that if you sell 175 Andy Was Right stickers, you could buy a Magic Keyboard.
Well, though, actually, I'm hoping to sell like 1,500 of them and get myself like a Mac Pro or something.
Right, I got the sticker guy for you. I will send you a DM. They make fantastic stickers.
Get the cutout ones. Don't get the square ones. Make sure they're.
You need to cut out one with the chops and everything. Just chops. Andy Was Right. That fits inside.
Oh, I'd buy that.
No, they'll. I just gotta say, Andy, they don't have to use. I don't want to market the chops because then I'm sort of like. I don't want to. Bob Ross got stuck with that hair.
He's holding out.
Life,
He's holding out.
Even after
he wants more money for the chops. That's what it is.
There you go. Exactly. That's it. Well, the chops have my mutton chops have their own separate representation, so it would have to be like a different negotiation.
The chops version is $5, and the regular text only version is $2. Bro, I'm going to get you the keyboard and a brand new purple computer.
The chips, going on with the rumor, please. The chips.
I'm sorry, we're having fun. We're enjoying ourselves.
No fun allowed, you two.
Mr. Joy Killer.
The chips also include 64 gigs of memory. That's a must, right? And by the way, there's also the further rumor that supplies might be very constrained on these, according to Mac Rumors and Digitimes. The problem might be these mini LED displays. I'm not sure if they were going to put those in the laptops or not. But this is one Doc Rock is going to have to get up at 2 a.m. for sure if he wants to.
I will make sure that I stay up. If I have to drink 8 cups of coffee prior and just be up.
Are you holding out for the 16-inch for video editing and things like that? I would say. Right?
You know, I'm because I went and got a crazily insane, fully loaded iPad. I am trying to just transition my love for my notebook anyway. I feel more free with my iPad. I mean, I have nice weather and things, so I feel like I can just pick this guy up. The battery lasts forever. Go outside, sit out, do some work, go to some place. So I'm trying to avoid having to get another notebook because I do have the mini, which is just insane. And then I have a fully loaded 2020 iMac, which hopefully I'd probably sell to swap it out for a 32-inch iMac.
Right.
So I want another iMac because I just love something about the iMac is just a joy to work on, right? Because of what Rene mentioned about quality displays. it's really hard nowadays, unless you want to pay $6K for 6K, to get such a beautiful display that doesn't just look whack or have weird, like I'm trying to make it look gamery feet, and it's just I don't like anything that's in the display market right now other than that CES 40-inch LG that they announced,
right,
which still ain't out yet.
I'm on the other side. I want to preserve the capability to upgrade the displays or to change the displays. And I really felt locked in by my iMac Pro. So I'm actually very interested in this more powerful version of the Mac Mini, which is codenamed J374. When Gurman quotes code names, you kind of feel like he's got some inside sources here. Same chip as this new MacBook Pro, these new Jade chips. 4 ports versus the pair available on the low-end Mini, the entry-level Mini. He does have the caveat that Apple could delay or cancel the new Mini's launch as it has in the past, but eventually the company will likely replace the Intel-equipped version it now sells. I'm very interested in the old rumor, and it could be completely flawed, that not only will they do a Mac Pro cheese grater with the new Apple Silicon, but they will do a mini Mac Pro, which I would buy. I don't care. Cost is no object. If there's a mini Mac Pro,
okay,
I want
Leo, you know what I've been dreaming about lately? I have been dreaming about a anniversary edition of the Cube that is basically a baller mini.
That's funny.
Like a mini. No, I love that Cube. It was so pretty.
I had the Cube. I bought it in the last day of availability, unknowns to me. I bought it, took it home, and then read the story that Apple cancels the Cube.
That's how that thing about you. That's how it started.
That's how it started. That was the first one. Yep. Bought it the end of life. Day of the end of life. I still have my monitor for the Cube, but the body itself started to yellow and crack. Yeah, that plastic was terrible, actually.
Oh, man, I just I want something of that nature. It doesn't have to be plastic, but something like, a small Nex with like 2 whatever next generation's built in and all the ports. And for all the people that are happy about the 4 ports that might be on this new Mini, realize it will still probably only be 2 controllers just because of the amount of heat that would get stuck in that box. Just you have to remember that. And then
he buries the line that probably a lot of pros are interested in, the high-end Mac Pro desktop plan for next year. And that makes sense because Apple said the transition is going to take 2 years. So next year, we'll likely have a choice of 2 processors, either twice or 4 times as powerful as the new high-end MacBook Pro chip. In other words, 40 cores.
Yeah. Well, that's what they had to demonstrate. They have to demonstrate 2 things to make M1. M1 is already a success, but there are 2 real goalposts here. One is to prove it works, and that is worth all the trouble. They've already done that. The next step is just when we want to really flex on the power of this entire architecture and platform, when we build the Stonehenge type CPU, Stonehenge type computer that is designed for all these people who are trying to model wind tunnel effects in real time. This is the machine that we're really going to flex with. That's the one I would guess is going to be the last one to be released, because that's going to require all the knowledge that they've accumulated, not only from chip design and manufacture, but also about how well performance cores versus efficiency cores are working together, how well like different bus bandwidths are working together. That's what's going to be the one like the Memorex ad to the guy just with a hair blowing backward. That's what they're looking for. Meanwhile, they have to fill it out with all the ones that they did last year are nice, but they were just for people who want a MacBook Pro form factor, for people who want a MacBook Air form factor, for people who want a Mac Mini form factor. We're building the exact same computers inside these 3 shells. Do you want a fan? Do you not want a fan? Do you want a desktop? Do you not want a desktop? And so now the next era for 2021 is going to be, now we have to build like a MacBook Pro for real that's designed specifically around this, not just simply a retrofit of the old one. And that's going to be the point in which that's going to be the point at which people like me who bought a MacBook Pro M1 day one might have wished, is there any way I could have possibly waited for the 16-inch model, because that one has more ports. That's what's going to have better I/O. That might even come in purple. I would love to have a purple. If I'm spending $2,000 on a laptop, if I want it to be purple, damn it, it gets to be purple.
Here's what Gurman's saying about this Pro, he says, codenamed, and again, with the code names, I feel like that's high confidence level. Codenamed J2C die and Jade 4C die, redesigned Mac Pro is planned to come in 20 or 40 computing core variations made up of 16 or 32 high-performance cores and 4 or 8 high-efficiency cores. The chips would also include either 64-core or 128-core options for graphics. The computing core count tops the 28-core maximum offered by today's Intel Mac Pro chips. And, of course, it's not Intel. It's not x86. It's Apple Silicon. And I guess no more AMD either. The new Mac Pro has been in the works for several months, Gurman reports, and is expected to look like a smaller version of the current design. They've also been working on, for you, Doc Rock, a larger iMac with in-house processors, but development of that version was paused, months ago to let Apple focus on the redesigned 24-inch model. So it sounds like a higher-end iMac or iMac Pro might be a little ways off.
You think November or this time next year?
That's an interesting question.
Because,
I think November is enough time. 6 months later.
I think November is enough time too.
Yeah.
Because you think about this, notebook is WWDC, should be, always has been, is kind of a thing. But I do believe that the Air or the other college MacBooks, I do believe that's an August play because it gets you in time for back to school, right? So the redesigned MacBook Air and then say a new MacBook, not necessarily Pro, but just something that's not an Air, and please, Air, get rid of the wedge. Just make it flat.
Well, let me read you what Mark says about the higher-end MacBook Air planned for as early as the end of the year. I think I'm with you. It should really be in time for college. Apple's planning a direct successor to the M1 processor. The codename Staten will, like the island, will include the same number of cores as the M1, but run faster. So right now, all the M1s in existence are the same clock speed. Actually, I didn't ask Rene about the clock speed on the iMac.
But that's not using any creativity, because if you're going to name it Staten, you might as well just go and name it Wu-Tang. I mean, come on.
Wu-Tang, baby.
Strong Island. What are you doing?
It will also see the number of graphics cores increased from 7 or 8 to 9 or 10. So, that's interesting. A faster MacBook Air would be a very, very popular product, especially, as you say, with students. Yeah.
Yes, especially if they follow the iMac and made it available in 7 different colors.
Ooh, baby.
I'm thinking too, when they get down the idea of, say 4 M1s or whatever M somethings on a plane, right? And they can switch independently between parallel processing or serial processing. You're going to have a Mac Pro that will just be basically unstoppable. When you need them to band together Voltron style and do the thing, they'll be incredible. But when you're working on, say, 4 independent tasks and you can give like an entire processor to something, or the other part that's kind of has me keeping up at night is, what if they turn some of this work that they've been doing into graphic chips specifically, so that you could get machines that have, Apple generated graphics chips that are just for banging out graphics, because so many people in the video space, in the virtualization space, are Mac folk.
Let me actually, to that point, it's interesting. There's a really good piece in a blog called The Eclectic Light Company. I love it. In which he kind of took a look at why the M1s feel faster. And apparently Apple assigns to every task a QoS, or I guess quality of service tag, ranging from background, which is the lowest, to user interactive, which is the highest. The user's using it right now. Integer values spread evenly between 9 and 33. And so what he did is, knowing that, and you can actually check the QoS value of a process, knowing that, he took a look. He has the guy who wrote this has a compressor-decompressor utility called Cormorant, which lets you set the QoS for its tasks. Very smart. He created a 10 gigabyte test file, compressed that many, many times using different QoS and concomitant operations. Took a look at it on the Intel Xeon W8 core, where all QoS settings result in the same, speed, and then compared it to the M1, and came up with an interesting strategy that Apple uses. He says if you look at, you can see this yourself, you look at the activity monitor, open the CPU history display, you'll be able to see what Apple is doing. Almost all the activities are macOS. Almost all are running on the slower efficiency cores. And then I don't know, I think I've seen this, but I've never really paid attention. With an occasional blip on the performance cores, running apps and performing other user tasks is the other way around, with the brunt borne on performance rather than efficiency. That's because those user tasks are more likely to run with the high QoS, at least 17, maybe as high as 25 to 33. So, and interestingly, the Apple is using those efficiency cores. I guess this is probably because they're laptops and you want to optimize.
I was going to say battery power.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what this looks like on the iMacs, the new iMacs. Because those processes are handed off to the efficiency core, he writes, all they do now is slow other macOS background tasks to which, because they're in the background, they're lower QoS, we're not paying attention to it. So, for instance, your Time Machine backup will maybe run even a little slower, which you wouldn't notice because it's just running in the background. But the stuff that you're paying attention to that's in the foreground runs that much faster as a result. So that makes sense, right?
It's genius. When you really sit down and think about the amount of work that went into that and just thinking about like how to prioritize and then parlay task ad hoc on the fly.
Yeah.
And then, Andy comes in and like there's a special on pizza and he needs to get a pizza order out real quick. Like it knows how to like handle that and then move the order over to a slower processor. That kind of stuff is just pure genius. And it doesn't get talked about when everyone's out here just going off of benchmarks. Benchmarks are only good on the bench, period. Like they're kind of sort of semi-useless, but we're just in love with them because we love comparative analysis.
Well, and I would also point out, this is something actually a lot of Microsoft has always done this. They optimize for perceived performance. In other words, they want it to feel and look snappy. So the stuff that you're not looking at that's going on in the background is going to be slowed down artificially just because they want anything you're looking at, windows popping up, interaction, they want that to seem as snappy as possible. So it's actually kind of interesting to know that that's kind of the conscious strategy being used with these M1 processors. And it's why, we've seen these efficiency and performance cores on the phone, but we've never had them on a desktop before. As he points out, Intel, it's all the same. So it really, without necessarily being a faster computer, it can look a hell of a lot faster and feel much snappier.
Feel snappy, yes.
Yeah. It makes perfect sense. I mean, the way that we're discussing it almost seems like the way that Samsung used to game benchmark tests, but it's not. But it's really not. If there's something that you're actually paying attention to, you would want that to be the fastest process that's actually working. For you. It's okay to have this a render that's going in the background to sort of take a little bit longer time. I mean, what Doc was saying was absolutely right. The more that we've learned about what's going on under the hood, the more we realize how appreciating the performance and the design of these M1, these Apple Silicon chips, requires a whole new set of appreciation for how computers work. That we're used to saying, oh well, gosh, look at the this is using the 8 nanometer process, not the 14 nanometer process. Oh, look at the clock speed of this. Oh, look how the cache is working on that. And those are important stuff. But we're talking about even simpler things like how when numbers have to be chopped up into bits and sent into the CPU, how big of a swath can these selections of bits be? Do they have to be one fixed length and with a lot of wastage every time, or can they completely adjust these things on the fly to make sure that there's never a clock cycle that's not being used to actually shuttle data through? And I'm greatly oversimplifying something that I have to read 4 times to make sure that I understand. I appreciate that, but these are the sort of things that we keep coming up with as engineers keep poking and prodding and experimenting and discovering things that Apple is not willing to tell us about these M1s. Independent people who know exactly how these things work are saying, my God, there's the easy way and the hard way, and they decided to do it the hard way. But the hard way is why we're getting these immense productivity, this immense speed on one simple piece of silicon. And again, these are just the first M1 chips out of the gate. They haven't really started trying yet. They wanted to make sure they worked. They want to make sure they didn't, you didn't get this pop sound every time that you try to divide by 12 and with a remainder left over. They did that and 12 times more, and now they can see, okay, we got it working. Now it's getting working so much that we will embarrass other people who are in the chip manufacturer business.
And thanks to H. Oakley, the writer on the Eclectic Light Company blog. It's eclecticlight.co. He's an artist, but he's also a programmer and has a very creative naming scheme. It's not just Cormorant, which is his compressor program. He also has a program called Spundle for creating, resizing, and compacting sparse bundles, Stibium for running and analyzing performance benchmarks on storage, Dinch for checking the integrity of your files, Finch for drag and drop integrity management, and Cinch, a command line tool to check file integrity. So I don't know who you are, H. Oakley, but I'm going to be making more regular visits to the Eclectic Light Company. Good.
Isn't that how George Foreman used to name his kids? They all name the same letter and the same syllables.
Spundle, Cormorant, Stibium, Dinch, Finch, and Cinch. Really well done.
The only one I know is a bird. Are all the rest of them birds? I mean, a cormorant.
Cormorant, I know. Yeah.
Very popular in Japan. But what are the rest of them?
Yeah.
And they sound like Finch, so it's okay.
It's clever. Yeah, maybe he likes birds. Actually, I saw cormorants in action when I was in China, in southern China. It's kind of creepy. The first time I saw it, I was like, what the hell? But the fishermen are out on these boats. Long boats. They've been doing it for hundreds of years. They have cormorants with wire. Forgive me if you're an animal rights activist. You're not going to like this. Wires around their necks so they can't swallow the fish they catch. The fishermen send them out. They catch fish. They're stuck in their throats. Then they bang a stick. They come back to the boat. They squeeze all the fish out of the cormorant's mouth into a basket, give the cormorant a fish to eat, and then throw them back in the water to catch more fish. They use them for fishing.
It's a really, really ancient Japanese fishing style. It dates back 4,000 of years.
It's amazing.
Those birds are well taken care of. Animal rights activists chill. Those birds are almost spiritual. And in a place where it is, like, they're revered. So if you actually see some Japanese family symbols, you'll see on a samurai jacket, there's actually a cormorant on some of the mon. It's called the kamon, that circle with the design in it. That's your family seal, similar to like a tartan.
I wasn't familiar with this when I saw this in China. And my son was with me when it was back when he was 14, and I was like, "What the hell are they doing to those poor birds?" But it's pretty cool. It's kind of an interesting. It's ancient, right? 4,000 years old.
Also, if you're going to try to abolish that thing, you got to realize that those birds are unionized. That's a union shop. You're not going to be able to break that.
They don't seem unhappy. The only thing that seems cruel is at the end when the fisherman grabs them and pries the fish from their mouth and then throws them back in the water. But the cormorants could fly away. There's nothing, keeping them from leaving. So obviously they
except for the possibility of starving to death because they got wire around their
well, that's true. They do have the wire around. Watch, here goes. Oh God. Oh my God, the poor bird.
It doesn't hurt them.
I guess not.
Maybe it's like having a popcorn kernel like stuck between your teeth.
They get
You're
relief.
Grateful that they'll pull it out.
You. Yeah. And then he throws it back in the water. Okay. All right, that was a bit of a digression. I don't know how we got to Cormorant. I do know how we got there, but I apologize for the digression. Let's get back to Apple stuff. There actually is a huge Apple story. Let me take a break because I didn't bury the lead. After all, those new Macs are a big story, but this is even, in some ways, a bigger story, and it's the other shoe dropping on a rumor that we've been hearing about for some time. We'll get to that in just a second. It's great to have you, Doc Rock. Always love having you on. YouTube.com/DOCROCK. Some people might say it's Duke Rock, but no, it's Doc Rock. Don't be confused. And
I've had that said before, by the way. That's why it's so funny to me, because it has definitely come up before.
Yeah, it looks like Duke Rock. I'm just saying, he's also Duke Rock on the Twitter.
Just say no to Croc.
No, don't do Croc. It's bad for you. Anything you want to plug that you're up to these days? Anything exciting?
No, other than we officially we finally have the only M1 native streaming app on Ecamm, so that's it. And the twins say hello. They said to remind me to tell you hello.
We love Ecamm. We use it. Micah uses it. A lot of our hosts use it because they're producing their own stuff basically at home. I know Rosemary's also using it. Rosemary Orchard.
Rosemary's a genius.
It's nice to
I just
know
want to
that
be
it's
half
M1.
as smart as her.
Yeah,
Yes,
nice.
it's 100% M1 native.
That's
now,
really
so we're
great.
good to go.
That's great. Great to have you, Andy Ihnatko, of course, from WGBH, Ihnatko.com. Our show today brought to you by one of my favorite apps. I'm great to have them back on, Headspace. Headspace is your daily dose of mindfulness in the form of guided meditations, really beautiful, pleasant meditations in an easy-to-use app. It's funny, it's so useful for your health and your state of mind and stress reduction that my health plan actually gives you a free account. So you should check with your health plan to see if you got Headspace already. You may have tried meditation before, and like me, like a lot of people, I thought, I can't do it. It doesn't work. Or I'm doing it wrong or that kind of thing. But, stress reduction is so important for health, not just mental health, but physical health. And Headspace makes it really easy to center. It's advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research. So no matter what's going on in your life, Headspace can help you feel better. In fact, if you're like suddenly in overwhelm, that happens sometimes, right? And you just go, Headspace has a 3-minute SOS meditation that's just for you. Maybe you're having trouble falling asleep. Headspace's wind down sessions just take you from that kind of amped up state that we're in Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and chill you out. There's even, for parents, there's meditation that you can do with your kids. And I tell you what, if you get kids in a practice now, you will be making their lives better for the rest of their life. I am not kidding. It reduces stress, improves sleep. Headspace can help you boost focus. The biggest part of all of it is it will improve your overall sense of well-being. You'll just feel better. And they even have workouts. Check out Headspace Move. This is this research, and it's all there on the website if you want to find out more. This is one of the reasons they have over 70 million downloads, 600,000 5-star reviews. It's backed by 25 published studies. Just 4 sessions can reduce burnout by 14%. So honestly, just try it. Give it a month. Give it a month. It takes 30 days to develop a new habit. By the end of the month, you'll not only be feeling better, you'll love it. You'll say, I can't wait to take some time for myself. Headspace makes it easy for you to build a life-changing meditation practice with mindfulness that works on your schedule anytime, anywhere. And you will love the Headspace meditation coaches. They're really great, including Andy. You deserve to feel happier. You really do. You deserve it. Headspace is meditation made simple. It will make you feel great. It certainly does for me. Headspace.com/MacBreak. In fact, I wish I could do that right now. Come to think of it. Headspace.com/MacBreak. I'll do it later. 1 month is all it takes to get that habit. And interestingly, we've got a 1-month free trial for you. You get access to every one of Headspace's library of meditations for every situation. It's the best deal we've got, best deal they've got. It's a great deal. Just go to headspace.com/MacBreak. Trust me, at the end of those 30 days, you will feel a lot better. Headspace.com/MacBreak.
Leo, can I give you a pro tip on Headspace?
Sorry.
Yeah. Do you have a Headspace pro tip? Yes.
I have a Headspace pro tip. I recently tried this, and it's been amazing. I've taken my, whenever you have 5 minutes to spare, right? It's easy. Look at Instagram, check Facebook, whatever.
No, don't do that.
I moved those to the third page.
Good.
Page. I moved them to the third page. I put Headspace on the first page. And anytime I go somewhere, we're like, oh, you're going to have like a 15-minute wait. Is that okay? You got a 5-minute wait? I just pop up Headspace, throw in there, and just sit there and smile and just listen to it. And it has been fantastic. Sleeping better. I feel like my creative process has gotten better. So yeah, if you just to try it while you're doing Leo's trial, move those distraction apps, games, everything to like the last page of your iPhone, put Headspace there, and every time you get 5 to 10 minutes, just pop on and take a quick little session. Game changer. I feel like my blood pressure dropped like instantly. It's pretty amazing.
I could play a little bit. They give you a little balloon.
Their graphics are amazing. The graphics are so amazing.
I'm inflating the balloon of my lungs and breathing out. It's really well done, I have to say. Headspace.com/MacBreak. Thank you, Headspace, for your support. We really appreciate it. All right. It's big news. Big news. And although in some ways disappointing news, Apple has announced, it was a rumor, but they put out the press release yesterday, lossless audio for their entire catalog, which is now what? Several 100 million songs, free. 75 million, sorry. 75 million songs, free. So there are companies offering lossless audio. Spotify's rumored to be planning it, but Deezer and Tidal do it now. But they charge you extra. Free.
Amazon used to, but spontaneously for no reason whatsoever,
The
they
next
decided to
day.
make that free as well. Yeah.
Like 1 hour after the Apple press release, Amazon said, it's free. Well, it's part of the regular deal. I've been actually paying for Amazon HD because I do think it sounds better, especially if you have good speakers. Now, that's the good news. The bad news is, and by the way, it's spatial audio as well with support for Dolby Atmos. Yeah. The bad news is it doesn't work on any of their Bluetooth devices because Bluetooth sucks.
It shouldn't. And I know this is going to drive everyone crazy, but from a kid that grew up in an audiophile store, my whole entire life, I have a Dragonfly DAC. If you're unfamiliar, it looks like an old school one of these, like USB guys, but you plug it into your computer and you put your headphones in. And so if you have audio quality in-ear buds or over-the-ear headphones, the DA converter will convert things back and make it sound good because Bluetooth, even with ATDP R2D2, still sucks. Lossless would be a waste on Bluetooth, and everyone is mad, but you have to understand how Bluetooth works. It's not a thing.
It's recompressing it. It's so even if they were doing it lossless, it would become lossy as soon as it went over Bluetooth. So don't bother. 100%. You still will get the spatial audio. In fact, I think you need Apple's AirPod Pro or the headphones to get the spatial audio. I don't know if anything else does spatial audio. There's a rumor there's a new Beats Pro coming that will have spatial audio, but it's also wireless. So it's a foolish thing to try to do lossless audio through wireless. Get a DAC. Actually, the iPhone's DAC is okay. But the Dragonfly is excellent. I use something from a company called iFi, IFI-audio.
iFi is nice.
Yeah.
Hip DAC.
The Hip DAC. This
I like
cheap.
it, but I keep trying to drink out of it.
It looks like a little hip flask. It's only $100-something bucks. So what's nice, and it's battery powered. So you can, carry it along with your iPhone, and you plug it in. You have to have, it's unfortunate, they don't bundle the lightning connector into it. I guess that would add too much to the cost. So you need the camera connection kit to use this with an iPhone. But if you have an iPad, the Type-C connector works just fine, or anything else. And it does a very good job. And it also has its own amplifier in it as well, so you can turn the music up. So Hip DAC, Dragonfly is very well respected as another great DAC, digital analog converter. And then listen with wired headphones. I just bought, Scott Wilkinson recommended, I have very expensive Hi-Fi Man electrostatic, $1,000 headphones, but I'm not going to carry those anywhere because they're too expensive. And Scott Wilkinson just recommended these new Sennheiser i300 in-ear, and they're fantastic. They're $300. They're not cheap, but the sound is surprising. Oh, they're out of stock. Wow. The sound is surprisingly good for in-ear earbuds. I would say almost as good as much more expensive over-the-ear headphones. So put that with the iFi on the lossless. You're gonna appreciate it. Now there's people in the chat saying nothing wrong with Bluetooth. Sounds great. Sorry.
Well, no, and again, honestly, Leo, I've had to come to grips as I try to explain this to some of my younger friends, and we're talking like early millennials and backwards. They grew up everything compressed. They grew up on MP3s.
They don't know any
the whole
better.
9 yards.
Yeah.
We grew up on vinyl. I worked in a high-end audio store for over 30 years of my life. So be happy that you don't know the difference, to be honest with you, because once you know, it's irritating.
It's really true.
Then you have to buy expensive stuff. If you are happy with spam, enjoy the heck out of that spam and stay away from A5 Wagyu, because A5 Wagyu steaks are $400.
It will ruin your life. I agree with you.
It will ruin your life. So be stoked. If you like Bluetooth, man, power to you, brother, sister.
And don't ever let anybody sit you down and say, "Let me show you what you're missing."
Be like, no, Mama said no.
Yeah, because they can't. if it might have to be taught, but if you know what to listen for in lossless compression, you can hear it. I mean, you can tell. So Apple, I completely understand why they're not going to do it. It's not supported on AirPods, AirPods Pro, those very expensive AirPods Max you bought. Sorry. HomePod or HomePod Mini, not supported. But if you have a direct connection, there's no headphone jack in the iPhone, so you'll need a DAC to do that, or headphones that have a lightning port, which they used to bundle in. Again, don't do it with the AirPods anyway, or the earbuds that came with your iPhone. That's a waste of time. Get some decent headphones. Get a DAC and listen that way. iPad with a Type-C connector. There's Type-C headphones as well, or you can get a dongle. Mac, same thing. Apple TV will also support lossless. Actually, I'm excited about that because I have a very nice pair of ELAC speakers with an ELAC amp that is hooked up to my TV, and now I'll be able to play lossless through that. I always wanted Apple Music to do that, so I'm very happy about that. So if you have an Apple TV, you can also do it that way.
Yeah, it does show some of the short-sightedness of Apple design.
Courage.
Like this is, yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, so great. So now you have lossless, but it means that this $1,500 iPad I just bought, I'm going to have to buy something else just to get the exact same quality I'd get by plugging a pair of like $50 wired headphones into this damn thing, because lossless really is the first leap up in noticeable sound quality. When you go from a compressed stream or a compressed file to an uncompressed file, that's the first one where you undeniably things really open up. Once you start getting into higher bit rates, now you start getting into arguments about how any file format that's bit rate and frequency that's more than CD quality, you're probably almost certainly not going to be able to detect it. There's lots of arguments everywhere about how no, here is the math based on 30 years of science saying that CD quality is that's why CD quality is CD quality, because it is exactly how much a human being can possibly appreciate with their hardware, with their ears, plus a little bit more for a little extra headroom, and that's it. But going from compressed to uncompressed, that's something you're really going to appreciate. And now, again, thank you for not giving me a headphone jack on this $1,500 device. Thank you for selling a $550 pair of headphones where I can't just have like a simple stereo jack on the side of it to say, well, just feed me audio through this copper wire into the drivers so that I can appreciate these beautiful headphones with lossless quality. That sort of thing kind of bites, but it does show you how Apple tends to think about these things. I don't think that they were ever really thinking hard about the quality of the. I don't think they're putting a lot of stress on the quality of the source material. What they're trying to sell is not reproduction, but more like, here is the great things that we can do with this audio, with the processing that's inside these $550 headphones. Here's the quote computational audio tricks that we can perform on it. Here is the spatial audio tricks that we can do it. So if you give us even a crummy compressed AAC file, we can do amazing things with it just by simply cooking it and processing it. And we're not terribly interested in just simply taking an audio signal off of a copper wire and reproducing it with the greatest fidelity and the greatest accuracy possibly. I don't think that sort of stuff really moves them. But it just goes to show, $550, you're going to get Apple's point of view on what good headphones mean. You're not going to get something that is going to be useful for pretty much everything you would want a pair of headphones to do.
And by the way, that's even if you use the wire that sold separately. It's still not going to do it. So what's interesting here is that Apple is not going to. I guess you have to choose between Spatial, because Spatial's on all of those devices that don't support lossless. Is there anything that does lossless and Spatial? I don't think so. Spatial requires AirPods Pro or the Max, right?
That's a good question.
God,
no, but
it's like you have to choose. And some people might like Spatial. I have not actually experienced it. I have the AirPods Pro, but I've never bothered because I didn't really care.
Oh, it's good. For TV stuff, I get it. Like on Ted Lasso, Spatial was just a trip. It was just kind of weird, but it didn't really bring anything extra to the show.
Yeah.
But I was just doing this. Like, it was kind of fun. But I don't see how again, you don't like.
I have a surround
I don't
sound
see how it works.
system.
Yeah, so do I.
So I have surrounds. I have speakers all around me. I have a center channel. I have left, right. So I'm happy with that. But that's not what spatial audio is, apparently. So I'm a little confused.
Yeah, and I'm curious if that will work with something like the File Q1. Q1. It's a Lightning-based DAC.
Yeah.
All of the hi-fi, nerd channels is one of the most popular DACs.
I have a number of FiO DACs, and I love them. I think they're very good.
Yeah, it's only like $100, but that is a Lightning-oriented DAC. It's funny because, again, audiophile stuff, and people, I know everyone wants to hear this, but audiophile stuff is similar to us whiskey people or the wine people or the beer people. And the people that don't get it always tell you that you guys are making it up. You don't know. But then same thing can be said about the beer folks or the wine folks, whatever. Again, if you don't know, be happy and just leave it alone. Don't get into this habit.
Never become a connoisseur. It's a bad idea.
No.
It's an expensive.
A bad idea. I built an entire Plex server just to make lossless copies of all the SACD stuff because our store sold SACDs.
That was a platform that failed and faded away, and all of that stuff. It's a shame.
24-karat Pink Floyd disc. I got it.
Oh man,
like
I'm jealous. Yeah. So here's how this is going to work. You'll have to opt in because it's going to be a lot more bandwidth. They will be in ALAC, Apple's lossless format. Another more bad news: if you bought stuff on iTunes, iTunes will not offer anything on ALAC for purchase, nor will Music Match, iTunes Match, upgrade you to ALAC. You'll still be an AAC. Good quality AC, but not lossless. The standard lossless tier is CD quality, 44.1 by 16-bit, which, as Andy, as you said, is probably all you have to get. There's big arguments in the high-res community about how high-res should be and all that. Apple will go all the way to 24-bit at 48 kilohertz.
Which is plenty,
more than enough. And there's a lot, the Nyquist theorem, and there's a lot of evidence that, you don't really need to go that high. CD quality, I think, for any streaming solution is just more than adequate. So it does say high-res lossless. In other words, 24-bit 192K or more will require, or less, I guess, 192K. Nothing goes higher than that. High-res lossless will require, Apple says, a DAC, a USB digital audio analog converter. I don't know if that's true for the Apple TV. That's interesting.
Apple really did a great job with this. We need a damn 3-dimensional table to figure out. Put your hardware on the x-axis, your music on the y-axis, and your DAC on the z-axis to figure out if you're actually going to get an improvement out of this. Well done, Apple.
If I'll be very happy with CD quality. That's all I really need, and probably at my age, all I can hear.
The product ad was written by Sheldon Cooper.
Yeah. Bazinga! I had in my youth, like a couple of years ago, purchased a lot of high-res music, and I bought Neil Young's Pono player and all that. But I did kind of ultimately decide CD quality is really all I need. I can hear. And maybe not at 320 kilobit AAC. I might not be able to hear the difference. I can't hear MP3s certainly at 128 kilobits. I can hear the difference. There's a little crunchiness in some of the frequencies.
Well, it's subtle stuff if you know what you're looking for.
You got to know what to look for.
A lot of people don't understand what you're looking for. So, for instance, I'll pick Yo-Yo Ma. Yo-Yo Ma is playing Suite 1, right? You can hear the finger movements up and down. You can hear when he lifts up on the G string as it vacillates between the G and the D. And that's the stuff that when you know you're listening for, you can hear the biophage.
You want to be in the room with Yo-Yo Ma as best you can. The other thing, and this is much more ineffable, but I feel like there's a broader sound stage with lossless and higher res than there is with compressed. I feel like you don't hear, the instruments aren't quite as well defined. The sound stage is not as open. Now, maybe that's because remember, there's a huge psychological component in this, but
100%.
I agree with you 100% when it comes to compressed versus uncompressed. But I think that in terms of that, what Doc is talking about, where again, you were aware of the fact that Yo-Yo Ma's fingertips have rough fingerprints on them, and the strings themselves have like ridges on them. I don't think that's. I've become convinced it's less a case of high-res audio as really, really good mastering of the original audio. Like when you compare like the original CD of Abbey Road to the remastered one that came out 2 or 3 years ago, you're hearing things in that audio.
I bought all of those 50th anniversary Beatles recordings because I want to hear that. I do. I agree.
Yeah.
I also want to hear the original mono, but mastered. Remember, there's all of that stuff was on tape, but mastered as best as possible to a digital format, and I think that that's improved too. You know, there's people doing things like on things like Miles Davis Kind of Blue, which was recorded on reel-to-reel tape. Sorry, it's not going to be 24-bit 192 kilohertz. It's recorded on essentially a low-res analog tape, but they are doing interesting things. All analog tape has a bias tone on it that's inaudible, but that the equipment can use to compensate for speed variations. There are good people doing really interesting work with things like analog tapes from Kind of Blue, where they use the bias tone to correct for speed variations in the recording, and get a better version of it than even the analog recording. And I think that's worth it. That's such a beautiful album that it's worth hearing it as close to being in the room as you can. So
but no, that's my thinking too. I do have some high res albums, but the only time I buy high res are when it's a brand new recording by one of my favorite artists. And so obviously I can't do my usual cheapskate thing of buying like the used CD for $4.80 on eBay. And the thing is, if I buy the CD new the week it comes out, it's going to cost me $17, $18. The high resolution version will cost me $2.50 more, and I'll be able to download it immediately. And there's something about the principle of if there's more data there, that's always going to, it's not going to sound worse. That's going to be at some point today or tomorrow or 10 years from now, that is going to be more better. So I will take the extra pile of numbers for almost the same amount of money if it's one of my favorite performers.
And to be fair, 99.9% of people who are listening to music will not care. This is really to achieve parity with Deezer and Tidal, and I think really more importantly from Apple's strategic point of view, Spotify, which is imminently announcing this, and Amazon, which already has. This is Apple saying, no, you want Apple Music. Honestly, there's no reason not to have Apple Music.
Also, if you look at the press release and you take the percentage of the press release that talks about spatial audio and the percentage of the press release that talks about lossless, they talk a lot more about spatial audio. Because that's definitely something that you don't have to have gold-plated ears in order to appreciate that. Holy cow, I could hear a violin behind me and a soccer ball to my left. That's wonderful. And it is a wonderful experience. Of course, it might not be what the original engineer intended, but okay. It's if you enjoy it, like it, that's great.
Apple Music, quote from the press release, is working with artists and labels to add new releases and the best catalog tracks as more artists begin to create music specifically for the spatial audio experience. And so that's important. Most stuff is not recorded that way. Apple says you can enjoy thousands of songs in spatial audio from the world's biggest artists. Thousands. But remember, it's a 75 million track database. When Apple launches lossless music in the next couple of weeks, 20 million songs will be available that way. They say by the end of the year, all 75 million songs in the catalog and Apple Music will support lossless audio. That's because in many cases they're ripping, in order to get Apple Music, they're buying the CDs and ripping them. I don't think they're getting the digital masters in a lot of cases, but hey, that's better than nothing. I know when they launched Apple Music, they were doing that.
But Apple has a really great relationship with labels. They are
by now they've got to be getting digital.
But also, exactly. They have a better relationship. I've been reading a lot of industry forums, and people who are professional engineers are saying that Apple has a knack for getting like the best source audio, as close to the digital original masters as possible. Whereas others, particularly the ones that aren't like the latest hot release, whatever analog tape that got duped 20 years ago to some sort of digital format. They're fine with it. I mean, the number of times where I've been listening to Amazon Music and, okay, well, here's the album art that comes playing. Like, this is obviously like someone took like a 20-year-old used CD or album and just like put it on a scanner and didn't even bother to make the blacks black or anything like this. Is this a legitimate operation? Am I giving money to Russians for bootleg music? Is this it?
Yeah.
The thing that goes missed is when the Beats acquisition happened, it wasn't just about the hip hop star and it wasn't just about the headphones. It was about the other Johnny, the forgotten Johnny. Allowed a lot of those gaps to be closed between Apple Music and the music execs as they lived, because Johnny's a legend. So Johnny I helped close a lot of those gaps for Apple.
Really?
That's why there's better relationships now.
I would have assumed it was Dr. Dre. Oh, you're talking about Jimmy Iovine, not Johnny Ives.
I mean Jimmy. Sorry, I meant
Oh
Jimmy,
God, I thought Johnny Ive. I never really thought of him as the guy with. You're talking about Jimmy Iovine. Okay, good.
Jimmy
okay.
Iovine. And so I mean, of course, him and Dre, they helped close a lot of those gaps.
Iovine
and everyone's like, oh, why do they need headphones? They don't need headphones.
Right.
It wasn't
about
the
headphones.
People.
No.
That was an accident.
Yeah. Although headphones probably is pretty profitable for them.
Expensive accident.
Yeah, expensive accident. Yeah. So all of this will happen once you can get the latest version of iOS 14.6, tvOS 14.6, and Big Sur 11.4. That should be sometime in June, they say. I guess there's a question mark. There are new Bluetooth formats coming. Perhaps down the road, it'll be possible to do lossless over wireless headphones, but just not today.
Yeah,
not with the technologies available in Apple's
It's not universally
stuff.
known that Bluetooth is the Bluetooth standards are compression standards.
Yeah,
and so you just cannot get lossless.
Yeah.
It's just not possible.
Yeah. Anyway, there you have it. I'm glad we could mention this big article in the New York Times yesterday, talking about Apple and their deal with China. Inside Apple's compromise with China, a hard bargain, they say, for Apple and China: censorship, surveillance, and profits. Apple has actually built, at the demand of the Chinese government, a data center for Chinese customers of Apple products in China. Chinese state is owned by the Chinese state. Chinese state employees manage the computers. The digital encryption technology Apple uses elsewhere is abandoned after China would not allow it. The digital keys that unlock information on those computers stored in the data centers where Chinese state employees have access to them. This is the New York Times reporting with internal documents reviewed by the Times and interviews with 17 current and former Apple employees and 4 security experts, and new filings made in a court case in the U.S. last week. Basically, Tim Cook has decided the Chinese market is so important to Apple that they're going to adhere to the laws of the land. And I guess that's what Google didn't do, and they pulled out of China. But Apple has decided they do need to work with the Chinese government. Of course, if you're going to do business in a country, you have to adhere to its laws. But there is no privacy, I guess, for Chinese users of Apple products.
Yeah. This is why it kind of gets to me that Apple really wants to make that into a marketing thing that, we believe that privacy is a basic human right, but currently not for all of our customers. I mean, I don't think they should be raked over the coals for this. I understand the idea that they're a corporation, and corporations are not people. They, of course, they can donate money like people, but okay, fine. They're not people. They don't have ethics or morals. I don't mean that as a negative thing. I mean that you can't have this idea that a corporation that's worth $2 trillion has a single collective conscience. But the thing is, if you're going to try to sell yourself as saying we have this basic principle that we are unswavering at, if you're going to use it as a club to strike out against Facebook at Google, you also leave yourself way open to saying, well, how come you don't seem to be that very much bothered about privacy when it comes to a very, very valuable part of the world that you want to do business in? And in the year after year after year, Xi Jinping keeps and the government keeps putting in more and more pressure and more rules that Apple and other companies have to adhere to. And I just keep wondering, where is the line? What is the line in which Apple says, we will not do this? We don't care about this is way too important to us to compromise on. We will not do this thing. And again, $2 trillion company, I absolutely understand that it's not as simple as my deciding that, well, you know what, you were mean to that friend of mine, so you know what, I'm not buying a hot dog from your cart, sir. I said good day. But nonetheless, you can't leave them off the hook. I don't like what gets me a little bit annoyed and upset over the past few days since this story broke is people saying, well, what can Apple do? Like, no, they can stop doing business with China. That is something they have the ability to do. They are not forced to do business with China. So at some level, you have to absolutely accept, confront, and make peace with the fact that Apple is saying we value this business more than we value this principle that we speak so hardly of, so much of in almost the entire rest of the world. That, again, doesn't mean that you have to throw all of your Macs and iPhones into the water as a form of protest, but don't pretend for 1 second that they don't have the option of not doing business in China. They have the option. They're choosing not to do that. So that's the price. They have to own that. They have to say in that big list of pros and cons, things that we're very proud of, things that we regret, but we decided to do what's best for the company. That's on the list of, that's not something we're proud of. That's not something we should be proud of. But
Cook doesn't say it's best for the company. He says literally, it's better. The world is better off with that. The world is better off with Apple in China. The quote from a conference in China in 2017, Tim Cook said, "Your choice is: do you participate or do you stand on the sideline and yell at how things should be?" My own view is very strongly: as you show up and you participate, you get in the arena because nothing ever changes from the sideline. Apple, I should point out, denies the New York Times report. The Times says Apple said, "We have never compromised the security of our users or their data in China or anywhere we operate." They say the company still controls the keys. This is in direct negation of the New York Times report. We still control the keys that protect the data of its Chinese customers, and Apple has used its most advanced encryption technology in China, more advanced than what it used in other countries, although... And by the way, it's against American law. The U.S. has long prohibited American companies from turning over data to Chinese law enforcement. But there may have been a loophole because under the new setup, according to the Times, Chinese authorities don't have to go to Apple to get the information. They asked the GCBD, a Chinese authority for Apple customers' data. The data center is run by China. And Apple believes that gives it a legal shield from American law, according to a person who helped create the arrangement. So I wonder if Apple's playing semantic games here rather than...
They have to. That's what the lawyers will tell them to do. But then I guess the big question comes from, right now, as we stand today, how many consumers are willing for Apple to win this line the way that they want them to win this line, because they want Apple to win everything, are willing to pay, let's say, 30% more for every Apple product because they could get it produced somewhere else? The other thing is, right now, as we speak, who else has the skills to generate the products at the level of quality that they're being created right now? It takes 10, 15 years to run that quality up in a different country. You just can't pick it up and move it. I mean, I would say Japan and Korea have it. They don't necessarily have the space for it. We don't educate our kids like that, so we are far removed from getting that far up. You remember they tried to come back to Arizona, and it failed miserably. And if you watch that special on Netflix, where one of the Chinese factories tried to build up in Michigan somewhere, and it failed miserably because we just don't have the same type of work to family ethic. It's hard to describe, but we have too many rights and freedoms, which just doesn't match for that type of factory working. I don't want to say anything dumb, but you'd have to see the documentary to understand what I mean, because we have feelings and emotions, and I have rights, and that kind of kills productivity sometimes. So who right now, besides China, could Apple go to? If they can't, you say they could just pick up and leave. Name a country. I'm curious.
I'm not saying that it would be an easy move for them to make. First of all, I'm specifically talking about the area in which they're talking about regarding privacy as a basic human right. If they were to simply say, guess what, we can't sell iPhones in China anymore. We'll certainly still have them manufactured there, but we can't sell them anymore because at this point there is a line that's been crossed, and we can't have all these deals. And that is an excellent point, and that is actually, I would posit that as a problem. Apple, more than almost any other tech company, is so dependent on Chinese manufacturing that
they have been working with India,
right?
But it's going to take a while. We're years out.
And one of the reasons for India is that India actually has laws saying, hey, look, you can't sell this stuff inside our country unless you're manufacturing in our country as well. But one of the things that we've sort of that the entire world of manufacturing has kind of learned in the past year is that it's a bad thing when all of your when everything is being manufactured by one country. You kind of want to make sure that you're developing capability in different countries all across the globe. And I think that it will take years for that kind of capability to be matched even in South Korea, even in Vietnam, even in Thailand, even in India. But we're not going to ever get there if we don't ever stop. If we simply say that, well, what are we going to do? I guess we're just going to have to keep doing whatever the Chinese government says, no matter how horrible it is. I mean, this is not the first time we've had this kind of conversation about Apple, where okay, I guess that we're not going to be releasing this app. We're not going to have the New York Times app in here. We're not going to have this app that mentions the Dalai Lama. We're not going to have this app that puts this country in the wrong column. But we are going to allow apps that actually support military operations that do bad things to Chinese citizens. These are again. I'm not saying that this is why Apple is going to be pulled up before the Hague Tribunal or anything like that. I'm just saying that if we're not going to at least demand Apple resist or take action against a situation where they really don't have the ability to dictate their own terms, we can't be so I don't know. We can't have such low standards that we're going to say, "Oh, well, it doesn't matter. We understand Apple. You have no other alternative but to simply play along with this." When again, you could Apple, if you really felt that this was a bad situation that you didn't like, these comments that you're making about the privacy being a fundamental right, if you thought that was 100% sacrosanct for all people, you could just pull out of China. You have that ability. You're not doing that. So I'm not saying that we should be really, really attacking them about this, but we should note that this is something they can do and they're not doing. Don't let them off the hook for this, is my feeling.
Yeah. I would really love to see them spin up a whole brand new educational process that would allow this stuff to come back home. But I think we are just so far removed with the way our education system works and things like that. Yeah. And I speak from experience because I went to college in Japan. Like when we got there, the most disheartening thing was they go, okay, everybody will see you in class tomorrow. Like American kids, you guys don't have to come to class. And I was like, hold on, wait a minute, pump the brakes. What do you mean? And he goes, oh, you guys only go to school 5 days a week. And I was like, yeah, but we're here to learn, the Japanese way. So we're going to school all 6 days. And they're like, no, we're told by your chancellor at your university, you guys can only go to school 5 days a week. So I literally had to call back here and yell at the University of Hawaii chancellor. It's like, don't send us in country to have the in-country language learning experience and then tell us we only get to go to school 5 days. And besides, the kids from the other 38 countries look at us like we're a bunch of losers. So I'm putting my foot down. We're going, and I just fight with my classmates. But at the end, everybody was happy that we did it because we learned much faster. But it was weird. Like they just thought like we're too dumb to be in school for 6 days a week. And that was kind of painful, to take that, but it's what happens.
We're going to take a little pause and come back with your picks of the week, gentlemen. So I'm going to say Rene Ritchie's pick of the week was a 24-inch iMac in purple. It looked pretty. I think Doc Rock's pick as well. But we'll find out what your picks of the week are in just a second. You're watching Mac Break Weekly with Andy Ihnatko and Doc Rock. Doc said he's going to make his pick of the week be Alex Lindsay worthy. Is it expensive? Go ahead, Doc.
It's not that expensive. It's a little bit, but it's nice.
What is it? Pick of the week.
Okay. All right. So here we go. I want to pick this thing here, it's known as a Nanlite PavoTube II. And the reason why I bought this, let me grab it.
Nanlite from nanliteus.com.
It's my vibranium light. This will do all of the colors.
It's a little blue right now, right? Or a little purple.
It's
maybe.
purple,
Yeah.
but it's kind of hard to see.
Yeah.
It's really light. It only weighs about a little less than a half a pound. It's magnetic, so you can stick it to things.
Oh, I like that.
It has a quarter 20 on both sides.
Ooh.
And typical of these type of lights, it has about, let's say 20 special effects like police car, paparazzi, lights, explosions. You can do myriad things. Currently, it's telling me that I still have about 6 hours of battery left on it, and it's already been on for more than the last 2 hours. It's just kind of incredible. It does have a sleeve that you can use to make it waterproof. Right now, I have the strap on it, but you can use the quarter 20s to attach it to anything.
Is it a flash as well, or is it just a continuous light?
It's just a continuous light. But I was doing some tests yesterday, like for traveling. This is so light, this is going to go in my bag. And if you go to the hotel and you can't get a good light, of course, if you wear glasses, you don't want to put it pointing at you. So what I did was on my two monitors here, I draped the towel over it, and then I put it on a tiny tripod, and I put it on like medium brightness, bounced the towel back to my face. The lighting was beautiful, soft lighting. And I was like, this is incredible. How I got here is because we all run out and say, well, I'm just going to put, hue lights in the back to get this lovely color. And then I realized one thing, a lot of people, if you're a content creator, try to stay away from anything other than video lights, because eventually it'll start to roll and you can't stop it. I could not get any shutter speed to catch up with that light. It was just wrong. The timing was off. Video lights don't have any flickering, so eventually you will end up replacing all your stop gaps with an actual video light, because I guess there's a time where the current changes a little bit, just enough to cause them to flicker. So my $150 Philips lights were useless in camera. You know what I mean? What is it? The Philips Play, the two little
I have those at home. Yeah.
It just, my whole scene, the last two videos is all flickery.
Oh crap!
So I just said, forget it. Get these.
That's how LEDs dim. Is instead of actually getting dimmer, they just flicker slower. You can't see the flicker, but that's effectively dimming.
The camera can see it.
The camera sure does.
If I put this guy on, this is at 1%, there's still no flicker.
So it does dim, but they've done it somehow, so it's not. That's nice.
Most of the things that are oriented for video light, so your Aperture brand, your Nano, your Westlight, the things you have in your studio, most of them have figured out special controllers and the cob lights, the circuit on boards that they use to generate the light. They are designed specifically not to flicker, whereas things that are designed for house decor, it just doesn't have that built in because they'd be expensive. Anyway, these are really cheap at, $90 a piece. And I bought a set of twins. So that way, it's portable, but in the studio, they'll just be decorations for the studio. But if I do need to go out, it's so light and durable and magnetic-y and quarter 20s. I mean, it's very utilitarian.
How much is it?
I carry on. $89.
Oh, that's nice. The Nanlite from nanliteus.com, PavoTube II. 6C 10-inch, 6 watts RGB WW LED tube with internal battery. Currently,
they got their naming convention from Motorola.
Yeah, I know. They all do this. It's so funny. It's so funny. This looks like a very practical, useful little video light. Is it bright enough to use singly, or do you need a couple?
Oh no, it is crazy bright. Good. It's like just under 1,200 lux if you want to use that as
bright. That's very bright.
It's bright. It's all seen.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, this is at 1% right now. So
if you wanted to pretend you were being chased by the cops, you just put it off camera and put it in the police mode. And
yes, it does have that too. I personally, I don't like that.
I wonder why. Doc Rock, I always like having you on. Thank you so much for taking some time to spend with us. I really appreciate it. YouTube.com/DocRock. Do you have a DocRock.com?
It's docrocktips.com because somebody's been squatting on the domain since, I don't know, 2004.
Jerky jerk.
And I never could get it. I hate it.
Jerky jerk jerk. And of course, he is a brand ambassador for Ecamm, and we love the Ecamm, so you're doing a good job. Andy Ihnatko, what do you got for us this week?
Something very, very simple and fast and cheap. Someone on Twitter asked me about, hey, I've got a Microsoft Word. I keep having to type in all these like mathematical symbols and stuff. And is there like a shortcut or is there like a tool for doing it? And it was a good time to remind people of a feature that come about in macOS kind of recently. If you just go down to the edit menu in any app and go to emoji and symbols, and you basically will get a palette of here is all the symbols that are inside this font right now. And if there are symbols that you use quite frequently and you don't have to remember that, okay, the double integral is Control Shift Alt Command smiley face Shift P option, you can just like find it inside the character viewer and then just mark it as a favorite. And now you've got a palette of like all of your favorite symbols, and you just click it and it just simply types in wherever the insertion point is.
It is one of those things that, it's actually a lot of things on Macs that you and I have been using for years, and people will go, what? You can do that?
Yeah.
So I think it's good to remember that not everybody knows everything, and it's good to remember those things and talk about them once in a while.
Yeah, exactly. Because even I was like, oh, I think I've seen this really cool utility that would automate that. So, well, actually, I haven't actually used like the character viewer in a while. Does that have? Oh, actually, no. That has exactly the features that he's looking for. Okay, good. Just you've already got it. It's pre-installed. You don't even have to go to the control panel in order to activate it or anything like that. And yeah, it's it works out pretty well for everybody.
I mentioned my pick of the week before, but I wanted to reiterate it because it's gotten better and better and better. It's still in beta, which means it's still free. If you use Alfred, or if you use Spotlight, or if you use, remember what was the original one of these? God, I can't remember the name.
Is Obdev.
Obdev, that's right. That's the website. And I can never.
I switched to Alfred, so I forget. What is it called?
Well, let me tell you. Quicksilver. That was what started it all, right? Yeah, you might want to look at Raycast. This is a brand new open source project that I think has now eclipsed Alfred as the most powerful replacement for Spotlight for the command space. You can map it to control or option space if you want. Raycast.com, and right now it's free. But what makes Raycast very interesting is there are a huge number of extensions for a very large variety of things. Raycast by itself does so many things. I think even maybe more than Alfred app does, that I would take a look at this. I know Andy doesn't like to add these these tools to his system.
I don't have your bravery. That's what I'm saying. I don't have your guts. I don't have your swagger.
Yeah, I understand, because also you say, well, and I use a Mac that doesn't have this installed. I don't want to have the my finger memory to be confused. But I tell you what, I put this on all my Macs. I just find it super, super useful. It's one of those things where you feel like you will not get 10% of the use of it. You just, because it has so many things it works with. By the way, chiefly scripting, which means it can do anything you want to do. Alfred does this too, but it's a little easier on Raycast. Raycast.com. And it's absolutely free right now. Very powerful. And we're starting to see a pretty rich variety of extensions being developed by third parties for it as well. So, Alfred's great. I love Alfred. I've used it since they started way back when. But this is quite an up-and-comer. And
that's cool.
It rivals Quicksilver for its variety of capabilities. So worth taking a look at anyway. Raycast, and you can map it to some.
I think that's cool, Leo. You know why? The thing we were looking for was Launch Bar. That's what
Launch Bar,
the popular.
But
one
even
was.
Before that, Quicksilver, which was
Quicksilver
amazing.
was the OG.
Yeah, that was the OG.
Now I have a question. How close to Alfred can you get? Raycast, because what happens is I love Vero, so I'm going to have Alfred on everything. But I do have machines where you don't have Alfred. And so if I could put this and get it close, then you don't have the problem Andy's talking about.
Right.
Because it's mainly the keyboard. I'm sorry, not the keyboard. The clipboard memory, game changer, very important. I hate the fact that it's not built in yet. And probably just the quick launch of things. Like those are the two that I use the most.
It has clipboard history. Of course, it does all the quick launch stuff, but a lot more than that. Clipboard history is built in. You can search it, which is nice. For text, images, links, and colors that you copied previously, you can pin frequently used items to access them quicker. It has floating notes, so it has some because it's an open source tool. There's a lot of developer stuff involved. It does light mode or dark mode. It's a little bit more Spartan than Alfred. Alfred looks kind of more like a Mac-ish app. This looks like you've got some sort of power tool running in the background. As I said, honestly, it's one of those things where there's so much depth to this, you might not use all of it. But one of the things you can do is you can use Command K to find any action in the app, so you can quickly find. If you think it might do something, you can quickly find what it will do. It integrates with G Suite and Jira and Zoom, and so that's nice. You could just say, start a meeting and do it from Command.
Even
space.
Asana's there, which
Asana's in there. I think the scripting is really the secret power, the hidden power. Color picker, and I bet you there's an emoji picker in there too, or a special character picker in there too. I wouldn't be surprised. Anyway, I just want to mention it. I've mentioned it before, but since I mentioned it last, it's really expanded into a whole lot of power. Very interesting. Thank you, everybody. Great show. I'm sorry Rene had to run, but it was great to get him on. Doc Rock, you're always a pleasure. Thank you for being here. Yay.
Thank you.
Andy Ihnatko, the stalwart, the man, the myth, the legend. WGBH this Thursday?
This Friday at 1 p.m. Go to wgbhnews.org. It depends, because again, Friday is the day that like politicians decide that, I'm really, really tanking on this issue. I need to demand 45 minutes on NPR, and so sometimes they like move me out of the they move me a day early to make sure that like I don't get bumped out. So.
Yeah. Constant flux.
It's usually Fridays. Sometimes it's Thursdays.
It's always a pleasure to have you on. Thank you. We always can count on you every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern time. We were a little late today because of the Google I/O keynote, which turned out to be really not that interesting. Although I have already installed Android 12 on my phone, and it is actually quite beautiful. It's I think what they've done is really nice, but. We'll talk about that on This Week in Google tomorrow, and of course tonight on All About Android. Mac Break Weekly, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1800 UTC, live stream at twit.tv/live. If you're watching live, chat live with us. It's always great to have you in the chat room at irc.twit.tv. Don't forget, we have something new we call Club Twit, which offers ad-free versions of all of our shows. That's what we thought would be the benefit. Turns out that our Club Twit Discord is really a lot of fun. We do a live stream from there. In fact, we've been able to integrate calls and questions, I guess, from the Discord stage on many shows. Forgot to do it this time on Mac Break Weekly. I'll do it next time. So that's kind of a nice side benefit. Access to that Discord is part of your membership. Plus the Twit Plus feed, which will feature things that we just couldn't turn into a podcast. We do a Linux show there right now. Lisa and I do our Inside Twit show. We do that for the club on the Twit Plus feed. We are going to have a very special show thanks to our club members. We had to cancel Triangulation because of, lack of advertiser support on my interview show. But thanks to you Club Twit members, we're going to bring Triangulation back for a special event this Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Andy Weir, the author of The Martian, has a brand new book called Project Hail Mary that is one of the most exciting books I've read in years. It is awesome. John liked it so much he's rereading it right away. It just came out. Andy Weir will be our guest on a special Triangulation available to all, but thanks to listeners like you and our Club Twit. If you want to support us with $7 a month, that's all it costs. Go to twit.tv/clubtwit. Regardless, you can get all of our shows free and always will be at twit.tv. For this show, it's twit.tv/mbw. Of course, you can subscribe in your favorite podcast application. There's a YouTube channel. See the link right there on the twit.tv page. Go there and you can watch every show absolutely free. Thanks to our wonderful advertisers. Don't know what we do without them, but it's listeners too that are now supporting us, and we really do appreciate that. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. Now get back to work, because you know what? Break time is over.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that podcast episode. If you would like to check out more about tech news, then you should check out Tech News Weekly with me, Micah Sargent, my co-host Jason Howell, where we interview the people making and breaking the tech news every week.